FCR 247. You're live in the mix. I'm your host, Twizm White, and today I'm bringing you a fantastic interview of our friends across the international waters, and we feature Midnight Furie with her fantastic platform and show known as the Midnight Hour at Metal Mayhem. If I said that correctly, I hope I said that correctly. So, Miss Midnight Fury, how are you today? And thank you for joining us.
I'm doing well, Twizm. It's an absolute pleasure to be on your show.
Oh, thank you so much, man. It's fantastic to have you here. You're such a heavy supporter and, of course, such a kind-hearted and wonderful person that I'm just
Oh, bless
blessed.
you.
Yeah, blessed, you know? So,
Mm.
how's the weather out there? Is it everything good for you today? Is it nice? Is it transitioning into a wintry atmosphere?
It's been raining most of the day, so yes, the weather's definitely changing.
That's such a shame. I don't like winter very much. Like it's hard
Mm-hmm.
on me. I'm a smaller guy,
Mm-hmm.
so I get cold easy. My bones get cold easy. So
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah.
I find there's something beautiful in every season, so I don't really have a favorite season.
Well,
I
that's a
just I
great
just
way to
look for
look at
the
it.
amazing things that come around as the year changes.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a great way to look at it. That's beautiful way to look at it actually. I'm sure there's something to be found in every season. So now with your road to your life, let's touch just briefly on the who, what, when, where, and why to Midnight Fury.
Carry on.
Where did you get your start at?
Oh, Um, several years ago, I was doing an online community journalism course. A friend of mine was helping because my computer had broken down and I was saving up for a new one. And during that course, we found something called hyperlocal community radio stations as
Okay,
one of the outlets in community journalism. And he
okay,
went searching online and he found a message from this guy called Steve, who was setting up his own station called Crowzone Radio, and he was looking for people to help out and do things.
okay.
Anyway, long story short, we listened to the station for about a year, and we were like regular commentators and that sort of thing. And then Steve asked me to create a show of my own. Now, it took me a while to agree to this because I knew how much work would go into it, and I was thinking, can I sustain this with the way that my life is at the moment? Can I actually promise that every week I'm going to deliver a good quality
Right,
show?
right,
And I
right.
knew nothing about it. I'd never presented a show. I've never had acting classes. I didn't know anything about that kind of stuff. So I went right in the deep end,
Yeah,
created this
yeah.
show. It's changed, but it's now in a fixed format, and that's where I started out, was on Crowzone Radio, and then I moved to Metal Mayhem Radio
Nice.
for a greater audience platform for my beautiful, wonderfully talented artists and musicians that sent me their stuff in and wanted to be heard.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. And of course, I've actually had the pleasure of tuning into some of your episodes and catching the replays of some of your episodes. I
Yeah.
love how you're very varied in your tastes. You have very eclectic tastes, and it works for some of us unique people out here, right?
Well, there's a trick to the midnight hour, and it's to involve every musical taste as much as possible.
That's
So the
great.
people who like the dance music get the first half hour,
Yeah,
and then the people who like the rock and metal get the second half hour. And I
that's
find that most of the people will stay for the whole hour because they don't realize they're transitioning from one type of music to another. They're just enjoying the music, which,
exactly. At that. And
yeah.
then not to mention you have such a great voice, right? So the transition
Oh,
periods
thank you
there.
so much.
It makes it easier when the voice is melodic and sounds great rather than raspy and out of control, right? So
One aims to tease.
it's exactly. So what made you choose this? Now, was you said you were there, and was this ever something that you thought that you would be a part of, that you see yourself doing this? Is this something that maybe once in your life you said, I would love to be in a
Um,
radio position?
Not really. I did when I was younger do a bit of through the youth club. I did a bit of sort of like presenting on camera, but it
Okay.
never worked out. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. So excuse me one moment. I have to
No,
go and strangle something.
no worries, no worries.
It's an alarm. Very noisy. That's it. Got it. Wonderful. Peace and quiet
Oh,
now.
there you go.
Yeah. So no, I didn't really think I would ever get into radio.
Okay.
Though I've always had an interest in music. I
Right.
used to dance a lot. That was my thing. I can't
So
play any musical instruments, but I can dance. Well, I could dance. I can't anymore, but that's another thing entirely. Um, yeah, so no, I never thought I would actually get into it. But when I was offered the opportunity, and I said it took me 6 months to actually decide on it.
yeah, yeah.
And once I decided, that was it. I
Okay.
stuck to it. My word is my bond.
Well, I love that. That's a great philosophy to have. Now, when in the process of making this decision,
Hmm.
have you had to change your life any, or did it kind of just fit right in?
I did have to make changes in terms of time management, and obviously I have to buy all the tracks that go into the show, and that's 14 tracks a week, so I had to make allowances for that.
Okay.
I mean, it's absolutely fantastic when the artists and the bands send me in their own music. I love that. That's wonderful.
Yeah,
But it
yeah,
doesn't always happen, so adjustments had to be made. And after that, obviously there's the time taken to choose all the, because I hand select every single track that goes in the show every
yeah,
single week.
yeah,
And of
yeah.
course, not forgetting the monthly Midnight's Metal Grinder,
Yes,
which
yes, yes.
involves me having a co-host, which I then interview during the show. So that's also the work that goes into that. So it is time consuming. It takes a lot of energy to do, but I love it. I wouldn't
Well,
have it any other way.
of course, of course. If you find yourself doing what you find as a passion, it becomes so much easier and it becomes so much more fun, rather than just work, right? So,
Yeah, well, it's the talented musicians, artists, bands that I've dealt with over the years, because this has been going for like 5.5 years now.
right, right.
Um, it's just so magical to deal with these people, to see their talent, and to give them a platform where they can express what they do and get heard by thousands of people,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
nobody's listening to them, but they're out there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's what I do with the show, is try to give a platform to people who haven't been heard before. They're brand new, or for whatever reason they're not getting listened to, and I put them out there and I say, look, listen to these guys. These guys are amazing,
Yeah,
whoever they
yeah,
might be.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So have you had any bands or anything ever, just have they ever came back to you and said, you know what, Midnight, you're just amazing. Here is a t-shirt, or here's an album, or has anybody ever given you anything?
I've had a couple of albums from bands who wanted me to play tracks for them, and that's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that. I have had some interaction with that I've played on my show, and then from that they've actually got an increase in followers on Twitter, and people taking music and interacting with them because they've been on the show.
Wow, that's good. Well, and I can speak from firsthand that is very that's exactly what it is. I know that there was a greater number of people paying attention to me after I was featured on your show. So
Oh yes,
yeah, I can
and what
attest
a
to that
pleasure
truth.
that was.
Well, of course, it takes good company to have good company, right? So.
Indeed, indeed.
So now you've got this thing and you've got it going, and you've been doing this for 5.5 years, you said, correct?
For the Midnight Hour, yes. Midnight's Metal Grinder is about 2 years.
Okay. And then during that time period, you have you felt like there was anything missing? Do you feel like there was anything, everybody, even in my own personal, I'm saying, well, if I just had this, or if I could just get that person, or is there like one of those niches that you feel you just wish you could add to what you have going on?
Difficult question, that one. Um, there are people I would love to interview,
Right.
but they're not necessarily new bands. And my show features primarily artists and bands that were created within the last 5 years and
Gotcha.
have dropped debut. Ever.
Right.
I mean, there are hundreds and thousands of radio stations out there that play golden oldies. And golden oldies is kind of a swear word on Metal Mayhem Radio.
It is on FCR
Um,
247 too.
yeah, exactly. There's so many people dealing with that. I'm not in competition with them. I
Yeah.
want the brand new people, the people who
Yeah. Yeah.
started, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and they just put out their debut album or their second album. And they're looking, they're not necessarily signed to anybody, but they're looking for exposure. And
Yeah.
that's what I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I love to do. But I mean, wow, if I could interview the lead singer from In This Moment, I would be in heaven.
So you do have your list of people that you wish you could rope into an interview. Then I take it you got your top five.
Yeah, yeah. Well, something like that, yeah.
That's so awesome. Will Smith. Do you know who Will Smith is?
Oh, yes, I do. I'm a
S-
fan, yes.
Yeah, I've grown up with him, so
Mm.
I would love to have just 5 minutes of that man's time just to ask him two questions, three questions. You know what I mean? It would
Yeah,
be
yeah, I bet he'd be fantastic. He
yes,
seems like
yes,
such a cool guy.
exactly, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, what is your future goals or plans with not only the Midnight Hour but the Metal Grinder, or in just all of it in general?
Well, let's get crazy. I
Haha.
want to do the first live music show from Mars.
Oh, I know, right? Oh,
Mm.
there you go.
I've been
Yes.
trying, but I can't find a cable long enough.
And the Wi-Fi signals that I and the Wi-Fi service that I have just doesn't cut it anymore. So
Quite, quite. But when they do get to Mars, the people there, they're going to need something to listen to in their downtime, and I would love to provide that.
I said the exact same thing. Do you remember when they had that Area 51 thing going on where everybody was gonna rush Area 51?
Yeah, yeah.
I said, you know what? I just want to be the first rapper to perform for an alien. So if
Mm.
it's on Mars, I'll be the first rapper on Mars to do a performance. Let me.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. Now, of course, do you ever see yourself taking this FM, or do you always want to remain the online um streaming
Oh,
platform?
well, funny you should say that. Metal Mayhem Radio is on
Oh,
FM,
is it? Oh, wow.
as well as
I've never
DAB.
known it.
Yeah, DAB, DAB, and
Okay.
on the internet. Yes. So,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
it's got a huge audience and a huge reach.
I never knew that.
And
I
that's
I
kind of why I jumped stations, because I felt that I wasn't servicing my bands and artists sufficiently with the previous radio
Oh,
station, and
of
I
course.
needed to have this platform to get them heard. I mean,
Oh,
that's what
yes.
it's all about.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, and I applaud your decision there. That was such a smart move.
Mm,
Oh, yes. I've always wondered the same. Like if I was ever presented with the opportunity to take FCR 247 to an FM station,
oh,
would I do that or not? And honestly, I think at the end of the day, I think I would. I mean,
mm.
I embrace the idea that it means that I wouldn't be in control as much, but I also think that kind of would be a benefit in some ways, right?
Will you reach a whole new demographic?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
and
that's essential to getting people heard, basically.
exactly. Yeah. And well, and especially as the radio station, and when I'm not even talking about the artist side of me, I'm speaking just from the radio station point of view,
Mm,
that the entire success of a radio station depends on the reach. It depends on the ability to connect.
absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly. So I you know, I like what you have going on. I've checked out the platform, I've checked out the station, I never knew that they were FM. I apologize for the lack of
That's
yeah.
okay.
But I will say this, that you're very blessed. You have a very good system going on over there. I'm actually very
Night
impressed.
Hour is officially a product,
Yeah.
and if I could get it out on more radio stations and get my artists more reach and more airplay, I would definitely love to do that.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah. Wow, that's so good job, Miss Fury. Good job. Good job.
Thank you.
So now just
Of course,
go
sorry,
ahead. No.
you do know I am looking forward to the release of your new album because I'd love
Aw.
to feature you again as my Artist of the Month.
Oh, you're amazing. Well, guess what? You don't have very much longer to wait. I've
Ooh.
been kind of drawing out the promotion on this one because um, COVID happened, so I didn't have
Oh,
yeah, I didn't have the
don't get me
finances.
started.
I know, right? But I didn't have the finances this year to do the paid promotions and stuff like
Mm,
that.
mm,
So I've been trying to drag it out so that it was more effectively grounded into people's minds that there is something coming rather
mm.
than just a quick burst of, hey, something's here, right?
Yeah.
So, but we're looking at right around the third week of October, right before Halloween.
Really?
Yeah, I was gonna wait till November, but so many people are now super excited about it that it's like, you know what? Why keep them waiting? They're ready. Let's give it to them. I like to please the fans, right? So,
Mhm, mhm. So that means then, would you like to be my Artist of the Month for October?
you know what?
Is there
Can
any
we wait? Can we
sneaky
can we
little
wait for
tracks you
November?
could send
Can we
me in
wait for
advance?
November? Can we wait for November and I'll send you
November.
all the tracks?
Ooh, that's my birthday month.
Oh, see, even better. See, that's my son's birthday month too, and soon to
Oh,
be
how
my daughter's.
wonderful.
Yes, according
Wow.
to the doctors,
Yeah.
the new one's supposed to be born in November too.
Scorpios.
Yes, gosh, and I'm a Gemini, so I can balance out. But my Leo wife, oh, let me tell you, her and Scorpions don't get along very well.
It's very strange. I've always had a problem with Geminis, but I don't have a problem with you.
Oh, because I'm a water-based Gemini, so I'm very fluid, very easygoing.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So, all right. Real quick, and of course, thank you for your kindness about the new CD. I appreciate you and the support, and even talking about that. It means a lot to me. It's a personal project, so when
Hmm.
somebody
Hmm.
else,
Well,
that
that's what I
it
do.
makes the person
That's what
creating
I'm
feel so
here for.
wonderful. Yes, you do it very well. You do it very, very well. All right,
Oh,
so
thank you so much.
no problem, no problem. So I don't want to keep you, too long because I know you're, obviously got other things to do and whatnot. And like you said, you had
Mhm.
a slight head cold and everything. So with the few minutes left, I want you to take the opportunity to tell people not only where they can find it, but
Mhm.
what kind of music that they're going to find on it that they might be interested to.
Mm.
And before we get into that, what's your personal favorite music?
Oh, well, I'm a metalhead at heart.
Oh, of course. I would have assumed that, but
Yeah. No, I love all kinds of music, from classical to pop. I mean, I even own the first two Britney Spears albums. So
oh, look at
my
you.
personal taste is quite eclectic. But
That
at
is
heart, yeah,
great.
I'm into the metal.
That's great. Now, what drew you to metal to begin with?
Um, to be honest, it was Cradle of Filth.
Oh, wow.
Somebody said to me, I said, I'm looking for something to listen to a bit more interesting. And somebody said, have you listened to Cradle of Filth? And I said, no. And he said, oh, I've got these on cassette. You can borrow them. Like, this is a long time ago, cassette, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said, you can borrow them and have a listen. And he said, but you probably won't like it because you're a girl. Now let's get this absolutely straight, right? I know I look female, but I don't identify as female, and I don't identify as male either. So
You're
you know
just
that
human.
was a, yeah, exactly. That was a whole sort of, oh yeah, right, challenge accepted.
I gotcha. I gotcha. That's great.
So I
That is
listened to the
great.
stuff, and you know what? I love the combination of the guitars, the drums, and then the classical music that comes in, and the whole
Yeah.
harmonies, and that sort of cathedral-like sound. And I was just like, wow, I want more.
So explain to me the difference. Explain to somebody like me the difference between metal and death metal.
Metal and death metal. Oh, wowza. That's the thing. Right. Well, death metal, generally, the lyrics are more about the darker things in life.
So
The
aggressive,
Yeah,
more,
the
yeah.
voices are harder,
Okay.
and the music is harder as well,
Okay.
and darker. I'm not quite sure how to express
No,
that because I'm not a
no,
musician, so I
I know,
don't
I
really know.
completely understand. No, that's a perfect explanation. I completely understand. So
Yeah.
the metal is what we consider more what we'd consider more the pop version of death metal.
Well, your new metal and your regular heavy metal, yeah, that kind of is. That's the lighter side of it. And then you get into your dark metal, your doom metal, your death metal, and it expresses much more emotional stuff. I mean, the thing I love about metal is that people are not afraid to say what they mean. And there's
Yes.
a lot of tracks in there which are, some people would call it propaganda, but it's just people expressing what's going on with their lives and how they feel about it. And, a lot of pop songs don't do that. They're just
Yeah.
totally commercial.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
clickbait. That's all
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got it. You got it. You got it. Oh, I love how you said that. I love it. And it seems like more and more of today's musical world becomes clickbait, and they've lost that soul
Mm.
that was included.
Well, that's one of the things that I do with the Midnight Hour and Midnight's Metal Grinder. There are so many artists out there, new artists, and they are not getting a fair crack at the whip because of the way the music industry is set up.
Yeah.
They join, they think, oh yeah, gotta get a label, gotta do that, and then they join these people, and they find out a couple of years down the line that they don't even own their own music,
Yep.
and their money's gone somewhere else.
Yep.
you know and that's just so unfair. So what I like to do is provide this platform primarily for unsigned bands. I mean, yes, I do deal with signed bands as well, but
Right.
if the music's good enough,
Right. Right.
but primarily for unsigned new bands with new albums, new singles who need to be heard because they are so bloody good.
I completely understand. I know exactly what you mean. In fact, I would pick a handful of indie artists over a handful of mainstream artists any day, simply due to the fact that
Yeah,
the indie artists are
absolutely.
still putting their hearts into it. They're still
Mm,
putting into it
mm.
what makes music good, right? So,
Yeah, especially now during the lockdown and the
oh
coronavirus
yes.
pandemic. They have risen above and beyond to get their music out there and to write things that help people get through this time.
Yep. Yep.
You know.
Yep. And see, that was one of the reasons that was, you talk about the new album that I have coming out. That was one of the driving factors to this new album,
Mm.
was that I felt like everything that I have been doing or had been doing was losing the soul. It was more poppy, more trendy, more. And if you listen to like some of my music, like I really break it down. Like I get really deep, I get really
Mm.
emotional in some of them. And so I felt like that during this COVID time, I kind of lost path. And so I refocused again. And it was because of the COVID, right? Because I had to
Mhm.
push myself.
Mm.
I had to come up with something creative. I couldn't just ride off of the success that I already had that nobody cared about because
Mm.
COVID came into the picture, right?
Mm.
So
Mhm.
I completely
Yeah.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to be a signed artist. I always wanted to be on a label, but I am my own label. And even though it's been a lot harder and a lot more work, and I haven't gotten as much success as I had hoped, it's still pure. I'm still pure inside, right? Like,
That's the thing. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
I'm
I mean,
untainted.
No, and they say that music is the oldest language before the spoken word, before the written word.
Yeah.
And music is basically the universe singing to itself.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
The energy
especially
is up.
during these times, we need that
Yeah.
more than ever.
Yeah. Especially because the distance between people is further now, right? It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
closer, it's further. So
yeah,
yeah.
very
Well,
much.
yeah. All right. So leading back into it, now that we've understood where you got your musical taste and what kind of musical taste, where can people find these kind of musical tastes at? I know you've got websites, you've got, I think there's a Mixcloud, if I remember correctly.
There is mixed cloud, yes. I
Yeah.
mean,
So
basically,
go ahead.
yeah, we've
Yep.
we've got the Midnight Hour,
Okay.
which does all kinds of EDM, hardstyle, industrial, dance music, and then all kinds of metal and rock.
Gotcha.
So if you're an artist and you're producing any of those things, please send it in to submissions at midnightfury.uk. And Fury is spelled Furie. I'm happy to listen to anything, and if it fits the show, it will be included.
Awesome.
The show goes out, this is the Midnight Hour, goes out every Sunday at 5 p.m. UK time on metalmayhemradio.com. And there's a listening button if you miss the live show. The Midnight's Metal Grinder goes out once a month on the third Sunday of the month at 9 p.m. UK time, and that's pure metal. And I try to get a co-host with a metal band, and as we play the tracks, we talk about the tracks, but I also interview the host about their band, their music, and what they're doing. So
Nice.
it's a bit more, interactive, a bit more in depth. You get to know the band a bit better than just the stuff they put on their website, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I do have a website. It's called midnightfury.uk, and you feel free to have a look at it, but it is undergoing renovation at the moment because it's a little bit out of date and, it needs to be fixed.
I know how that is.
Um, I'm also going to be producing some merchandise. I have a couple of t-shirts that are available if people want them for the Midnight Hour, Midnight Metal Grinder, plus there's a Halloween special t-shirt. Mainly, this is because I need funds to keep buying the tracks, to keep playing them on the radio. It's as simple as that. I mean, this
Yeah.
isn't a job for me. I don't get paid for any of it. This is my
Yeah.
hobby. It's
Yeah.
my passion.
Yeah.
But it does cost money, and obviously I have to get the money from somewhere to pay for it.
Exactly. Right.
So I'm
Yep.
hoping
Yep.
that people will buy the merchandise, and there will be a whole range of stuff coming up over the next year.
That's awesome. I know I'm excited. I know I am personally. But that's just because I'm closely connected, right? So,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
everybody else should be too. So, all right. Well, fantastic. Well, I love this. This was great. We're gonna have to do this again sometime.
I'm
uh
looking to chatting with you for the Artist of the Month position.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And of course, whenever you need anything, you just let me know. Anything ever, I'm right there for you. You got a supporter in me. So,
Absolutely. And the
but
same goes for you. I mean, new tracks, whatever, just let me know. I'll stick
oh,
them
of
on.
course, of course, of course. I usually tag you in all the new information, so
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
you're always right there anyways, so
yeah.
it's good.
It's
It's
good.
good. So, well, you know what, Miss Fury, I am thrilled to have had you on here, and I am so thankful that we got to spend this time. And I would like everybody listening to personally know that not only is this a great station and a great platform, but it's ran by such a great host. And this great host is what makes the show worthwhile because of the effort, the soul, and the time that she puts into this to get it done. So, Miss
Oh,
Fury, on behalf of all the indie artists out there, and including the ones who you rock with on a daily basis, and I know that I should have their names up in front of me, but I don't. But there's a little niche of group of
oh.
people
I,
there that you
I, I can
tag.
give you some names. I can give
Yes,
you some
please go
names if you
ahead. Let's
like.
say
Yeah,
thank you to all of them because they're
yeah,
so awesome. Go,
yeah.
please. Yes.
I mean, Agency Panic,
Yes.
Manic Grass, Raspin
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
White Crone.
Yep.
Um,
What's the
oh,
Doherta? What's her name? The begins with an M.
M.
Yes.
Ooh.
She runs her own little music review thing. Oh my gosh. She's Martina.
Oh yes, Martina Dorner.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
she is amazing. She really
yes.
does do the work. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes. So, but big shouts out to all of them because I know when they listen to this interview that they are the ones who are your fan base, and it's our
Mhm.
fan bases who make us look good, and so we are nothing without them, right? So, big shouts
Yeah.
out to all of them for
Yeah.
continuing to
Oh, if
support.
that's the case, I got to mention two people who've been my
Yeah,
fans for the
of
longest
course.
time. Chat Song Music, which is Roy,
Okay.
and the Retweeter.
Okay. All right.
They have
Well,
been there since the beginning.
shouts out to both of them because they are definitely providing you with inspiration to keep going, and that
Yeah.
is amazing, right? So, all right, Miss Fury, thank you so much, and of course, everybody listening, please, please go check her out and go check out the show. All right, have a
Thank you so
wonderful
much,
day.
Twizm.
No
Thank you. It's
problem.
been an absolute blessing to be on your show. Thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome.